Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And Darryl, this is one episode away from 450. So if you're good at math, that means this is episode 449, Vic and the Hangman.
Well, it depends on if it's Common Core math or not. Because,
if it's Common Core, it's like, so there were 13 people on a train to Cincinnati who fell into a well, and there were 732 people who were shot into the sun. How many of them have left feet? So you can't answer that question. The average is like, what is it, 1.5? So, I mean, it's not 2. 2 is not the average because nobody has 3 feet. So anyway, that being said, welcome to the show. Thank you for the patience for the next couple weeks. We're going to be recording and releasing on Tuesday nights so we can watch the Penguin on Sunday night and again on Monday. And maybe even again on Tuesday morning. Yeah, we don't want to wait a week because we got hot takes, people. We got hot takes. And I kind of want to watch what other people think about it. And I can't do that until we record. So.
Tony, I haven't watched anybody talk about it yet.
I haven't actually seen anybody talking about it yet, which makes me sad because it's really good.
Well, this React couple that we've been watching, I started watching years ago when I rewatched Game of Thrones before season 8 came out. It's Nikki and Steven. They're watching it, but I haven't watched their reviews yet. Or not their reviews, but their reactions. And
cool.
I take that back. I did watch Jeremy Johns' first review of the first episode, and he liked it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I haven't watched much of that. I've been it was a very interesting weekend. Kind of sad weekend. My Michigan Wolverines and my Bengals both fell by the wayside in spectacularly, just mind-numbingly eye-rolling fashion.
Yeah.
Especially the Bengals.
Yeah.
Because at least the Bengals have a good quarterback, and good grief.
Yeah, if you look at Burrow's stats line, you would think that he was on a 4-1 team, and he's on his way to 5,000 yards if he keeps it up. Which is crazy. But my New York Football Giants beat the Sea Hags, which was crazy. Like, what are you doing, guys? We're not going to get that kid from Texas at quarterback if you keep winning games.
You might get Shedeur Sanders in.
Fuck that. Pass. We already have a mid quarterback. We don't need a mid quarterback who's 4 feet tall. So anyway, hey, real quick, guys, like and subscribe if you like the show. We're on YouTube. Actually, we're posting to YouTube again. So go over there and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's really easy to find, the Infamous Podcast. And if you like what you're listening to and you're on Spotify or Apple or whatever, go give us a 5-star review because I've been forgetting to ask for those things for a long time. So there's that. Anyway, we're talking this week Ubisoft news, WWE Bad Blood, and obviously the Penguin.
Every time I hear the Penguin, I start like waddling in my chair, like I'm walking like him.
Remember I used to do the little penguin thing? I'd be like, Maybe not. Anyway, all right. You want to talk about Ubisoft and their woes?
Okay. So if you're a gamer, you know Ubisoft. But if you're not, you probably heard of the Assassin's Creed games. I mean, I don't even know how many Assassin's Creed games there are, but those are some of the early Assassin's Creed games were great, but also Rainbow Six Siege, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, the book series got turned into a game, which is very popular. They have their own niche, as well as The Division. And again, Ubisoft has done other things that we'll get into, but the news, probably the big news coming out this summer was their newest Assassin's Creed, which is Assassin's Creed Shadow, which takes place in Japan. This was one of those things that a lot of people were excited for. There's never been an Assassin's Creed to take place in Japan, take place in ancient Egypt, Greece, Europe during the times of the Vikings, even America with the 1776 one, like during the Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
There was Black Flag, the one that took place on the high seas.
Right.
Again, all of these for PlayStation owners, a lot of these are available on the PSN network. So if you want to get your Assassin's Creed fix, especially some of the old games, which were a lot better than what we've got in the last several years, that's a perfect place to find it. But as I said, my initial foray into what's been going on with Ubisoft started with this too. Assassin's Creed Shadow, as I said, this takes place in, I believe, the Edo period of Japan. I don't 100%. Well, I'll just say it's during the time of Oda Nobunaga when his assassination gets things rolling. So I don't know the exact time frame for that. However, everything sounds good, right? I mean, you just had the 2020. You had Ghost of Tsushima from Sucker Punch. That game was received very well. It's sold over. It's on PC now, so it's sold PC, PS4, PS5 over between 13 and 15 million copies, which is very good. You had Rise of the Ronin that came out, which this year that wasn't as well received.
Right.
But again, you're in Japan, samurais. It's a slam dunk, right? You would think. But Ubisoft do Ubisoft, and I'll get to more on that later. But the controversy is surrounding Yasuke. Funny enough, there's a Netflix anime about him as well. I tried to watch, but it was
It's not as good as Blue Eye Samurai?
Oh, hell no. Blue Eye Samurai is one of the best things I've seen. It's amazing.
Best ever.
And so what you're asking, what's the controversy? Well, Yasuke, if people don't know, is black. And yes, he is a historical figure. That much is known. But when people say he was a samurai, that's where the controversy starts, because there's so little about him that, yes, he receives a stipend from Nobunaga. He was in his service for a little bit less than a year. He disappeared when Nobunaga was assassinated. There are a lot of trappings that he received that seemed like he was a samurai. He was given a sword, but what type of sword was it? There are things that we don't know.
Right.
So the thing is, this is a Japanese game, this takes place in Japan. Every Assassin's Creed that has taken place in an area, whether it be Europe, whether it be ancient Egypt or ancient Greece, wherever they go, the main character is of that culture. And what does Assassin's Creed, or what does Ubisoft do? Instead of going with what makes sense, in about 2020, this is when this all changed, because just to give you a rundown, this started in 2015 or 16, the story building of the Assassin's Creed Shadow. And apparently in 2020, Brian, some stuff happened in 2020, and Ubisoft decided to say, hey, this is a perfect time to put Yasuke in this and change the whole narrative of what we had planned.
Right.
And as you can expect, the gaming community did not like this. Funny enough, a lot of times these gaming companies and these gaming journalists try to call, Western gamers all sorts of isms and all that stuff because they don't like this character or that, character. The problem with this is there was a massive backlash in Japan. It wasn't just that they completely just ignored the idea of a Japanese male character, because they do have a Japanese character in it. Her name is Naoi, and she seems to be a amalgamation of Taka Yamochi, and combined with a little bit of Hattori Hanzo, who were the Ige shinobi back during that time, because she is a shinobi player, which, okay, it's an eye-rolling thing, but Assassin's Creeds have done that. They've had a male and female protagonist for the last few years. Fine. But again, it goes back to Yasuke and the reasoning behind what they did. Well, it doesn't stop there for Ubisoft, because do you know the significance of the Torii Gate with Japan?
No.
So this Torii Gate in Japan, we all know Hiroshima and Nagasaki when they were bombed. I believe it was Nagasaki, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, where all this utter devastation in the city, and there was a single Torii gate that was still standing, despite everything else around it just being completely obliterated. Well, Ubisoft makes a kind of like Funko type action figure set with Yasuke and Naui, and they make it using one of those single Torii gates, which is, I mean, this is almost like, for lack of a better term, it's like sacrilegious because it's so important to the Japanese people. And it's again one of those points. It's one of those things where a gaming company is tone deaf about what they're doing because they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And the wrong reasons is why Ubisoft right now is a 10-year low from a stock standpoint. It looks like, and again, when I did some research, it looks like this has been not in the last couple months, but in the last year or so, Tencent Media, who is a Chinese mega corp that buys some of these gaming studios that aren't making money and tries to turn them back into profitable engines, is really circling around Ubisoft now. And rightfully so, because Ubisoft, it's not just this, and this is what people that are just tuning in think it's because of this Assassin's Creed Shadow. No, Ubisoft just released about a month and a half ago Star Wars Outlaws, which was panned everywhere because of not just a character that looks like a man, even though the model they use is very attractive, not just because it's generic open world Star Wars play. This is another game that released with massive bugs, and again, instead of addressing that, Ubisoft and some of those surrounding Ubisoft, some of their shills, attack gamers for complaining about it. And that's why it's only sold in the last month, in the month it's been released, around 1 million copies. This is a game that is between $200 and $300 million of development. And that's not counting all the marketing that goes into this. That's not counting going back and having to fix the bugs and all that. So this is a game. And it's funny, the gaming community or the gaming industry is very much like Hollywood right now, where you, especially Disney, I'll just point out Disney, spending $200 and $300 million. Because I don't know if you saw the report about the Ant-Man, Quantumania, and the Marvels lost over $300 million combined, I believe. Ubisoft, and you think that is a lot. Then there's this game called Skull and Bones, which I don't know much about. It was supposed to be their tentpole game, and the cream of the crop for games is called a AAA game, right? You hear that AAA game, Ghost of Tsushima, AAA game, this AAA, whatever. Well, these guys were so full of themselves, they said this is the first quadruple A game. And it, again, has floundered. And this thing, for any reports, various reports, anywhere between $300 and $600 million of development, and has been a flop. And that's why they're at they're such a low. I think their stock is down 40%, again, like a 10-year low. And that's when a company like Tencent is going to come in and swoop in and possibly purchase it, which I'm not a fan. I will 100% admit I'm not a fan. And again, don't get me wrong. Ubisoft is a Canadian company. It is not a U.S. company. So, but Tencent, a Chinese conglomerate company buying up other companies. From what I understand, though, at this point, they've also bought up other gaming companies like Riot Games. And as of now, they're basically in the role of making money, not changing things. So the companies are usually left alone, and as long as they're making money. So who knows if that's going to change. Again, Ubisoft has been in the news last year with some sexual harassment stuff with their CEO. It's not been a good couple years with Ubisoft. And I know this whole Assassin's Creed Shadow controversy, which, by the way, the game was supposed to be released in November of next month. Mm-hmm. It's been pushed back to February 2025. Now, why is that? Is it for them to let the controversy die down? Is it for as they're navigating this potential purchase for Tencent? Are they making various changes to the gameplay or to Yasuke's story? Because again, the original story of Assassin's Creed Shadows was a Japanese samurai. And again, like I said, this was in development for 4 years before 2020 came around, and they changed it up. And again, I am not joking. And for those who want to know more, I would say go to Endymion TV. He's a YouTuber. He has been following this very well. He has some inside information. He's talked to people that are with the company and people that have attacked him. You know, they don't realize that other gaming journalists are picking this stuff up after he does. And like Paul Tassi wrote about some of this stuff after an Endymion video. So this guy, and based on what he's saying, he has an insider, you know, that's telling him about some of the stuff that's going on in Ubisoft. And the other one is Legendary Drops. As before we started, I saw a Critical Drinker video about it. He's doing some of this too, because it falls in line with everything we've talked about with movies and entertainment. This whole thing about DEI, where it's no longer important about the character development or the story and the narrative. It's all about gaining points for, you know, in this invisible scoreboard of, yes, we had all of these women, we had all of these, you know, black and brown people, as they like to say. And Ubisoft is just another one of those, because, again, they're focusing on this stuff when they have moneymakers in Rainbow Six, in that Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six and The Division, which that's another thing. You're ignoring these things that are making money. And the thing with Ubisoft is they are very bland. There's a lack of creativity with what I've seen in their Assassin's Creed games. While I did like Valhalla, that came out like 2 or 3 years ago, the other ones, the last few years, have just been bland. And that's not even bringing in together microtransactions and all that. But this is all just a microcosm, or not want to even say a microcosm, but it is just another part of this direction of Western individuals. And let's be honest, it's usually Western white individuals trying to direct us away from what's important in whether it be gaming, whether it be entertainment, whether it be politics, anything. It's no longer the content of the character, but the color or gender of the character. And that's why companies like Ubisoft are flaming right now, because we don't want this shit as gamers. Again, if you do this, you know how many thousands of games there are out there that I've never played that don't have this crap in there? You know, from the PSN, or
maybe 8.
I can go anywhere.
3 games that don't have that crap. No, wait. The majority of games throughout history.
Yeah, and it's funny, and because I wrote this down, because one of the things they always say is, oh, these people just don't want a female, you know, don't like things like, you know, a black or brown player, or it's mostly they don't want, because you don't hear it as much saying, you know, this character is a white male, but this character is male. Because again, Assassin's Creed Shadows should have had a Japanese male character, but the female character's fine. But you know what? Last of Us, Metroid, Perfect Dark, Bayonetta, Stellar Blade, Horizon Zero Dawn, Tomb Raider, Returnal, Silent Hill, Control. You know what all those have in common? Other than being very good games?
I don't know.
Female protagonists. So if you hear somebody trying to sell you a bill of goods that there's not enough, like, you know, guys don't want to play female characters. Right. It's just a bald-faced lie, because all those games are very well done.
Right.
But again, I could keep going on with this, but the point is that just like we talk about Disney, just like we talk about Hollywood in general, you're seeing more and more of this. Honestly, in some ways, it's even worse in the gaming community, because they have what people call toxic positivity, where you literally cannot. And this is from people that have been in the rooms, in the writers' rooms, and been at these companies, where any sort of questioning of, are you sure you want to go that direction, is met with scorn. And in other times, people being let go from their jobs or forced to quit because of the things that they suffer, because they actually have the nerve to say, I don't think this is the greatest idea. And it's a sad state of affairs, but like I said, there is so much stuff that I have from movies, from
Right.
TV shows, and from video games that I could go I could go 10 years without purchasing a new game or watching a new movie or TV show, because there's so much out there for me to do. And again, Ubisoft, maybe and I'll close with this. A lot of times, like us as gamers and us as people that consume these products.
Wait.
Not
Are you including me in that us?
Yes, because you consume product.
I
right?
do, but like when you said us as gamers, I just
That's why.
I always want to point out, like,
you have some
I play
that
games,
you just don't
I
play.
like them. I just don't do it a lot because I can't sit still.
Yeah. But we're always, again, going back to the fact that we're always many times that have valuable criticisms toward a product, but all of a sudden we're the bad guys.
Right.
And then you have someone who, and get this is Ubisoft's former, what was his? Monetization director of Ubisoft. So he's the one that uses the predatory practices of loot boxes and all that garbage to try to get people hooked on games and spending more money. And there's no longer spending $60 for a game and then you have it all. There's a DLC, there's the avatars, there's the customization, there's the, you want this new skin. That is the predatory practices of loot boxes. And this guy is crying because he thinks people want these companies to fail. And you know what? He's right. Because I don't want people to lose their jobs unless they're, one, doing a shitty job, and two, instead of owning up to it, they blast people that criticize them, fairly criticize them, I might add,
Right.
and then call them all sorts of names. So if you're under that, then I don't care if you lose your job.
Yeah.
Now, if you're someone working your ass off and you're doing the best you can and you lose your job, that sucks. I don't want that for anybody.
Right.
But those people who can't take responsibility, those people who are so narcissistic that they can't take the criticism, and if you don't like the product, you're not just a hater, you're hateful, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a homophobe. Any of those things, if you're selling that, if you're trying to sell that because I don't like your game or I don't like your movie or your TV show, you go F yourself, and whatever happens to you, I don't care.
Yeah. It's the whole toxic fan thing, right? And we've talked about this a lot, but it's so funny because what was it just came out that they went back to blaming toxic fans for the Joker 2. Did they blame toxic fans for that one yet? I'm sure they will. But no, there was something on somebody. Oh, it was the one, the Power of One, Power of Two, Power of Many, which
The Acolyte.
Yeah, it came out like blaming toxic fans on the Acolyte, and I sit there and I think about it, and we've talked about this a lot. Like John Boyega, like I don't really remember hearing him talk about toxic fans. I think John Boyega is a fantastic actor. I think they gave him a shitty role. If you really want to see John Boyega at his best, go check out Attack the Block. Or actually, I really liked him in Pacific Rim too. I think that's the kind of role he should play more often. But the thing is you didn't see him. You know who did the most egregious thing race-wise to John Boyega?
Who?
It wasn't a toxic fan. It was fucking Disney. When they shrunk his character down on the poster in China because Disney's a bunch of racist fucks.
And they did not have anything to say about that.
No, they pretend like, oh, we didn't do anything wrong. We're the Magic Mouse, and we like to do this stuff because we like to stick on noses in our butts and smell our own farts. But you listen to the what's her name, Amy Tran, right? That's her name.
Kelly Tran.
Kelly Tran. Thank you, Kelly Tran. Kelly Tran seems like a perfectly nice person. I think Kelly Tran is a good actress, and then other things I've seen her in. They gave her a worse character than they gave John Boyega. You know who's super racist in that instance? Ruin Johnson. Write a good role for the lady. Like take the natural, just like appeal Kelly Tran has as a person, and be like, yeah, I don't understand. How could you make this person unlikable? Oh, because you're Ruin Johnson and you should be punched repeatedly in the taint. It's things like this. But then you have this woman coming out on the Acolyte and blaming racism. When I haven't heard a single person complain about like her being black, Amanda Stenberg being black, the menagerie of diversity Olympics that was going on in the show. I hear people complain about the acting. I hear people complain about the writing, and that's not racist or sexist or anything. It's objectively looking at a show that fucking sucked, and I didn't make it past the second episode, and you made me watch the second episode.
And people with agendas will ignore those valid criticisms, and they will find any, even smidgen of racism where, let's be honest, people on the internet, people say racist things all the time. It's funny though that the same people that call out someone like Star Wars Theory for just basically obliterating a game like Star Wars Outlaws or The Acolyte, while also ignoring the fact of the death threats and all this other stuff he and people that are within his circle or in his family, those same type of things that they get, but it's not happening.
Right.
That's the internet, one. And you're ignoring the most important thing, the valid criticism that people have for your product.
Right.
It's like it's gotten to the point where you can't these people can't take criticism. That's the thing. It's they are so full of themselves that they believe that everything that they put out is going to be good and everyone should like it. Everyone should just be dumb and consume product.
Yeah.
Love it. 5 stars, 10 stars, whatever it may be.
I'm gonna give an example of like the opposite effect of this, right? Like Eric July. Eric July is a black man. There are a whole bunch of people who don't agree with him politically who come out and like they don't want to listen or to what he says or read his books or anything like that because of his political opinion, and they say heinous shit to him, right? I'm gonna be honest. So far, I've really only liked Isom, the first one of all of the books that the Rippaverse has been putting out. We talk about them. We give fair assessments of them. You've liked it more than I have. Actually, I liked Isom number 2.
I've liked it more than you.
I liked Isom number 2.
I liked Isom 2, yeah.
So far I've liked Isom. I haven't really cared for the rest of the stuff in the Rippaverse. And I have zero interest in Gooding the Polymath and whatever the Batman ripoff that he just put out.
Horseman,
thank you. Horseman, go figure. But at the end of the day, like I'm kind of done with the Rippaverse. I have other things I'd rather spend my money on. But I'm not going to turn around and be like, that Eric July, he's black and he's stepping out of his, no. I like Eric July. I think like I would love to interview Eric July. I would love to sit down and talk to him because I think what he's doing is fantastic. And like I have friends who are aspiring or very talented comic book creators, and I'm like, go to Rippa Prince, like do it through that. Like this is what it's made for. And we talked to Brian about this a few months ago when he was on, and at the end of the day, it's tailor made for someone like him, and he just he for whatever reason he doesn't want to do it, but. These people who, to kind of get back to my point, they talk about, I hear all this racist stuff. I hear these death threats. Post it. Post the receipts. Every time someone sends you something like that, guess what? Their name and their picture are attached to it. Post it on your feed. Be like, look at what this piece of shit said. Post it. Don't hide. Yeah. Don't make it up. Fucking post it. And then we will know, yes, this is happening. No, this isn't happening. Holy shit, this actress made a whole bunch of fake accounts and did her own and threatened herself. Because guess what? That happens. Jussie Smollett. And if you want to continue to divide people, and if you want to continue to push and push and push, Like, fine, do it. And these game companies that want to continue to push and push and push, guess what? The second I hear someone at one of these places say, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Sweet. You just gave me permission to tell you to fuck off. I'm not buying your shit. I'm not buying anything from you ever again.
So funny you say that, because we didn't talk about this, but there was some Ghost of Yotai, which is the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima drama, about, again, changing the character from a male, Jin Sakai, to a female. And they changed, again, this is something that changed within the last year. They had everything set up for a sequel, a direct sequel, and they changed it. Well, when people complained about it, because the trailer came out a week or two ago, a former Sony exec said, well, he said that exact thing. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Or better yet, go make the game you want to make.
Right.
And you know what? After hearing that, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Bet, bet. I won't buy it. Because Ghost of Tsushima, I love that game. And I was very excited for a sequel with Jin Sakai. That was my problem, is the fact that they took a character who could have been a backbone of their franchise. But again, Sony, like some of these companies, Sony has some of the best, I will say, some of the best exclusives, whether you talk about God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, the original, or not the original, but Spider-Man, and then Ghost of Tsushima. What all of those have in common, their sequels bring up DEI type stuff, whether it be Spider-Man and Mary Jane going on missions, Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn having her in the sequel, having a potential female love interest. You have God of War was a little bit less like that, but they make some of the Norse gods. Angrboda, for example, she's black.
Right.
Really? I mean, again, I had nothing. The game itself I like, but some of the things like that, and Last of Us 2, the less said about that game, the better, because Neil Druckmann is, you talk about wanting to kick somebody in the tank, metaphorically speaking.
Right, metaphorically.
But so they have a problem to me, and that's 5 games, and all of the originals were great. But again, it's like they're going into that direction of, we have to check these DEI boxes. And I still haven't played I bought Spider-Man 2 when it first came out. I still haven't played it. And I wish I would have sold it, because after seeing some of the stuff that's in it, I don't want to play it anymore. I'll just go back to playing the original.
Or playing Miles Morales, because that game was fun as hell.
Miles Morales was good too. I mean, there were some annoying things about that, let's be honest. But again, the thing about Miles Morales is 10, 12 hours?
Plus, Miles Morales is a whiny little bitch anyway. So what do you expect?
Yeah.
By the way, Across the Spider-Verse was better than Into the Spider-Verse.
It was.
Yeah, sorry.
Across the Spider-Verse was amazing.
It was
such a good time.
It was so much better than Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked Into the Spider-Verse.
I know you guys got mad at me when we walked out of the theater. I was like, that was, other than the animation, that was not good. So.
Yeah. I didn't get mad. I was just like, I don't know what he's talking about, but you're right. It's absolutely better than Into the Spider-Verse.
And Miles is so much better in it too. He's such a better character.
Yeah,
but it's not really a Miles movie. That's the problem.
Yes.
We'll get into that. All right. So here's the thing. Ubisoft has stepped in it. Assassin's Creed isn't coming out for what?
It's coming out to February, and
February 25.
If that's going to be the date or not.
But
yeah,
and I know you were talking about it before, but it's just so funny. These people who like to look at the color of your skin as the most important thing, and the way they hate Asian people so much that they're going to take like a core aspect of the game to celebrate the cultures of the places that they take the assassins and replace a Japanese samurai with, albeit a character from history, but still a black guy. It's like if they did Assassin's Creed Ireland. They're definitely replacing every single one of them with a black female character.
And again, Assassin's Creed itself has lost the plot.
Yeah.
From what it used to be. You're supposed to be stealthy. this guy who's black and twice as big as everyone else in Japan, how's he going to be stealthy? Because that's what Assassin's Creed was initially about.
Dude,
about blending in crowds.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed 3
Yeah.
is one of my all-time favorite games. And here's the thing. It's another one of those ones. I didn't do the mission. I forget the main character's name now because it's been years since I played it. But I like just going around and hunting. And I like the little prayer that he said when he butchered the animals after he killed them. He would do Yahweh.
Yeah,
It was a Native American character. No, it was American Indian.
Because he was the Italian one.
Yeah, that was the Italian. But also, too, that game happened during my favorite period in American history, which was the Revolutionary War. So, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, pretty much all those Assassin's Creed games for the old ones that actually were about the Assassin's Creed and had the aesthetic and the formula for being assassins, truly being assassins, and not these open world bloated games. Again, I like open world, but if you don't have a strong direction, it can get bloated and it loses its direction easily if you don't have a good, strong narrative. And Ubisoft has not done that. And again, who knows, in the next few months, they might be owned again by Tencent.
Yeah.
And that might, for gamers, that's probably going to be better off because the executives at Ubisoft have shown that they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. And as far as Ghost of Tsushima goes, I've only played 4 minutes of the first game. So I don't care.
And again, who knows what's going to happen with that game?
Right.
That's not going to be out for another year and a half.
The Sony people, like you said, were super upset about that after they found out what was happening.
Were surprised by it. Yeah.
So, anyway,
so who knows what happens with
we've been
that
talking
game,
about this for 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and move on to WWE Bad Blood. So Bad Bunny. Bad Blood is the big back. Anyway, Bad Blood was a WWE premium live event that aired on October 5th on Peacock. There were 5 matches. It was the return of Hell in a Cell as a stipulation that actually made sense. And it was an interesting card. So it was Hell in a Cell, opened with CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. There was the women's the WWE Women's Championship, which was Nia Jax versus Bayley. There was Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. And then there was the Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. That had Dirty Dominic Mysterio up above a shark cage. And then last match was the undisputed WWE Champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, versus the only tribal chief versus the Bathroom Line. This match, or this PLE, was shorter than most Raws.
Yeah, it was.
Which
especially
I loved.
If you count in the entrances.
Oh yeah. So all right. So this opened with Hell in a Cell, and this was a controversial thing. Everyone was like, "Oh, Hell in a Cell has to be last. Hell in a Cell has to be last." And we'll give a good reason why it shouldn't have been, and it wasn't. So this was certified mental patient Punk, aka Phil Brooks, aka Wrestling Cancer, versus the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre. I really hated the way this went. I will say this: as much as CM Punk got on young AEW talent for wanting to use real glass and go more hardcore, he split Drew McIntyre's head in half, and Drew had to get 16 staples down the middle of his part.
Yeah.
Dude, Punk, fucking retire, dude. Retire. You are not made for modern wrestling. You are dangerous because you're weak and slow and, probably should just hang it up. Like, don't even leave your boots in the ring. Just throw them in the trash.
Just go away. Yeah, and he actually did you see his Raw?
Yeah, so he's hurt, of course, and it's not a kayfabe thing, I don't think it is, at least. I mean, he's hurt because he's just not made for this business anymore. He just isn't. I watched the match. Like how they don't put the I'm going to use quotes, air quotes here, the young guy over. Like Drew McIntyre gets way more out of winning this feud than Punk does. The only thing Punk gets out of it is his goddamn ego.
And this is the thing. I will say, as much good stuff as Triple H has done, creative director, again, going back to being honest and critical of things, he has made some very questionable decisions when putting certain guys over and not and again, not just this PLE, but just overall in the last year, there are some things he's done where it's baffling.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Drew McIntyre can get pushed into the title scene with this. Are you going to put the heavyweight title on CM Punk? Are you?
Yes, they 100% are. He's going to beat Gunther at some point, and it's going to be the dumbest thing that they have done. And I hope to God it's the first night on Netflix and everybody just cancels their Netflix account after that.
It's sad that you say that because it's this fascination with a guy who, first of all, his work rate is absolutely subpar.
He was
great.
Like he was great 10 years ago when he left wrestling. 7 years ago, whatever it was.
He was.
I guess it's 10 at this point. He was great. He left at the prime of his career for good reason, was on his side. I was at I wasn't at the pay-per-view where he first showed up, but I was at the first Dynamite where he came down to the ring and talked. And I bought a Punk shirt and he said all the right things. He was like, I'm here for Darby Allin. I'm here for, MJF. I'm here for the young guys. And then what did he do? He went out and he buried Darby Allin. It's like, wait, what's happening here? And then he tried to bury MJF, and MJF is an unburyable wrestler. Unburyable, right? He might as well be, like The Undertaker. You can't. But at the end of the day, what the real problem is you just have this guy who won't stop. He won't go away. He's just there. And it's like, homie, please go away. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
I mean,
wrestling
in WWE may have been the opportunity of your life, but we don't care about your life anymore. Leave.
Yeah. And it just, and there's another, the way they do Drew sometimes, it's particularly with this whole feud thing, which, as you said, we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks. I'm so glad that this feud is done with, just because it is not, they're not using it like they should have used it to propel Drew to that next level.
Right.
It's just mind numbing. But this was, to me, this was my favorite. Again, result aside, this was the most entertaining match.
It was the best match of the night. Like, not gonna lie. All right, so moving on to the next match. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish your thought.
No, and I was like, and if it was just about in the ring and nothing else, then absolutely this should have been the finale. But we all know wrestling is not just about what happens in the ring. It's what happens outside the ring after the match.
Right.
People come in and stuff. So I understand why people would say it just should have been the finale, but you're not taking into account what happens later on.
Sure.
Which absolutely had to be the finale.
Like the entrance says, there's more than one royal family in wrestling, and we had two of them in the main event. So, all right. So moving on, WWE Women's Championship, Nia Jax versus Bayley. I think the less said about this match, the better. Nia Jax is the most dangerous wrestler in all of wrestling. The Hurricane Rana, if that's what you want to call it. I'm shocked that Bayley just didn't get up and walk out, but she sold that like a goddamn champion, didn't she?
Yeah.
It's just, I just can't. Like Nia Jax, like I don't get it. Like we've got so many people from the Samoan dynasty now, like taking over WWE because of where The Rock is in his position on the TKO board, and you know, just the Machiavellian way he's going about things. I don't believe what I see sometimes.
I mean, Bayley did as well as she could to make
Right.
this a good match. And again, I think Nia is. No, I won't think. She's definitely better. Like, but she's still, again, she's like, she went from very dangerous to dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's technically better, right?
Right.
But it's still dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, like it's. Again, I'm not a fan of watching her wrestle, just for the simple fact that it just looks awkward. It's awkward in everything she does.
Right.
And you know, you can only do so much, especially with again, if you have someone the same size as you that is not as good of a wrestler, you can, you know, you can limit or, you know, put lipstick on a pig basically and kind of try to make it a little better. But when someone is twice your size, it's a lot tougher to make things look good.
Yeah.
And especially when someone's trying to do a hurricanrana and almost falling on their head, and then you having to bail out, or you know, you get hurt. It's just it's just not a good match. And like you said, less the better.
Yeah.
I want Bayley to. I'd rather have Bayley in a feud with Tiffany Stratton, to be honest.
Oh my God, that would be the best feud ever, because it's Tiffy time all the time. Let's go. All right, the next match, Finn Balor versus the Riz Black Hole, Damian Priest. Again, like what was happening in this match? Damian Priest wrestled like the heel, and you know,
absolutely he did.
And Finn was like, just again, Finn Balor needed to win this match. Damian Priest didn't need to win this match, and it's just one of those things where it's like, what is happening? Like, why are you pushing this guy still? Like,
when is the last time Finn Balor in a one-on-one singles match won at a PLE?
Somewhere around like 1940.
It's like, first of all, you have him bring out the demon like 3 times in the last within the last 4-year period or something like that. He loses every one of those matches.
Well, that used to not be the
that's
case.
Now granted,
so
yes, and granted, I don't know if that was Triple H, because again, that was still, I think, when Vince, because that was like
that was
21,
that was most likely Vince. No, it was most likely Vince. Because he brought it out to like he lost to Roman for the first time. He lost to Bray Wyatt, which was dumb, and I forget the third one.
He lost to Seth Rollins.
Oh, that's right, Seth Rollins.
So
the whole idea,
Seth hit him in the face with the freaking ladder.
Yep. And the whole idea, the demon was like, for Balor, it was like what's it called? Split personality. Mm-hmm. And he would use it when like he just could not get over someone. And Damian Priest, this feud,
when they used it.
Yeah, this feud right here was like the perfect use of that gimmick to have him come out, especially because they're doing the shorter ramps again. For a lot of these things, because the demon's entrance is my favorite entrance in the history of wrestling.
Dude, I love that. I watch that like every few months. I'll watch it.
So I mean, I have like amazing. 3 demon Finn Balor figures downstairs, and they've all got their arms up and their heads back. I just there was nothing compelling about this match. They should have swapped the Sami Zayn Gunther match from Raw to this to be on Raw for whatever reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. This was not the best match of the night, but this was my favorite match to watch of the night because one, I am a huge mark for Dominic Mysterio, and
Dirty
2,
Dom.
I love Liv Morgan. I'm just gonna put that out there.
How was that laugh in her intro?
Oh God, I love it. So, like, you know, I may or may not be in love with Liv Morgan. Who's to tell? So,
You know, it's funny. Like I wasn't when I was off and on watching this a couple years, like in 21 or whatever. I wasn't a huge fan of her. Even though I didn't. And again, I say that even though I didn't watch her a lot, but actually watching her over this past year or so, even before she got into this feud, I actually really like her in the ring.
yeah.
So, I mean, this was a solid match. Unfortunately, what it seems to be happening more often, there was another botch. This time it wasn't Tongaloa. So that's positive because he wasn't involved.
Yeah. I mean, I think this botch kind of goes against the ref more than it goes against Rachel Gonzalez.
Honestly, I think it's both, but it's heavily more on the ref to me.
Yeah.
Than it is on her.
Yeah.
Because for those that don't know, that like she was supposed to attack Rhea from behind while the ref was focused on Dom hanging upside down out of the shark cage, and then helping Liv pin her. Well, when she hit Rhea, the ref was in the view, but how many times have refs been in the view of something and completely ignored it? And you're telling me you can't ignore that?
I don't know.
Or in the confusion, just act like you get hit and knocked down and you don't see what happens.
Or like pull yourself out of the ring when Tongaloa misses pulling you out of the ring.
Yeah. This happens all the time.
Or Earl Hebner the bell when Breck doesn't tap out. It was silly. I will say Dom in the shark cage was hilarious. But can we take a second? Like we were talking about racism before. It's 100% racist for Rhea Ripley to grab a stick and beat Dominic Mysterio like he's a pinata when he's hanging from the cage. I mean, he is a Mexican American. He is Mexican, and that is not okay. Triple H, Rhea Ripley.
I was really waiting for one of the announcers to bring that up. I was hoping.
I thought Corey was. I at least thought Corey was going to bring it up, and he didn't. And I was like, "What is happening here?" Because he loves Dominic Mysterio, which rightfully so. He's a treasure. I mean, he is Eddie Guerrero's son, after all. I always want to call him Dominic Mysterio Jr. Because you just get going with the Mysterio. And it's like you just Junior. Yeah. It's just Junior. Sounds so good at the end. But we had Rachel Rodriguez. And I think she got the Rachel Gonzalez name back, actually.
Yes, it's Rachel Gonzalez now.
Which is great. That was her name in NXT. But seeing her come back was a lot of fun. She's fantastic. She's part of Judgment Day now, so that'll be cool. And then the last match of the night, which I found underwhelming.
It was good in spots, but
they're so like they didn't need to do this match now. I would have much rather seen like Cody versus someone else, or Roman versus someone else. Maybe Roman versus Tammy Tonga or something like that. Because they spent so much time trying to keep Roman and Jacob apart. Because that's a big money. That is a big money match later on. Cody had to like sacrifice himself, like doing the frog splash off the top rope off the top of the ring post, even taller than the top rope, to the table. Solo Sikoa is not it. He doesn't have it. I'm so upset about the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5 matches had some form of interference, which we have not really talked about.
Again, that was our problem with the whole bloodline thing with Roman Reigns. Yeah. We were again. You know why I like Gunther matches is because Gunther usually there's fairly rarely interference. Like you're talking about the Gunther match against Sami Zayn yesterday, which was a very good match.
Right,
excellent match.
Oh, excellent.
To be a strong character, as far as a heel shouldn't always need interference to win a match.
Right.
Or to compete in a match.
No one should have interference all the time to win a match.
It should be one of those, It reminds me of, and then we've gotten to this point where it's so oversaturated with finishing move kickouts that I don't even know why I complain, because it's just going to keep happening, keep happening, keep happening, keep
Although
happening.
I did like when Sammy kicked out of the power bomb on one after
The second time.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's just amazing storytelling.
But again, that is good. That is good. But it's just like the interference thing. You use it. You don't use it liberally like they've been using it over the past several years. It takes away from when it actually happens and you see the Sammy thing. That is, like you said, that is great.
Yeah, so good.
But unfortunately, they do it all too often. And like I said, just this match, there were some good moments in it. None that I can really say, oh, this was great personally. But it was a solid match. It was more like going back. This would have been a good SmackDown match. I mean, but because it's Roman Reigns' first real match, since he's returned, of course this has to be on the PLE.
And that's like, again, I don't have a problem with it. I also don't have a problem with it being a lackluster match, like in going on last, because you had the return of Jimothy Uso,
which was awesome.
Dude, congrats on the weight loss. You looked great. He really did. Because like that was kind of an issue for him, like just kind of being a little overweight. I'm glad to see him kind of jacked again. Enough of the super kicks. No more super kicks. No more spears, please. For any of you, none of you, no one in wrestling on any show. No more super kicks. No more spears.
Look, you banned the chair shot, ban the super kick, which, by the way, you banned the chair shot, but CM Punk can hit somebody with a toolbox over their head.
Well,
okay, that's
I mean,
different.
He's dangerous, Iceman. But here's the thing: is if you put this match first, and The Rock comes out at the end and counts 3 jabronis and then cuts his neck, like. No one is watching the Nia Jax Bayley match. No one is watching the Damian Priest Finn Balor match. No one is watching the Liv Morgan match, and no one is paying attention to Hell in a Cell because they're all on Twitter going like, "Holy shit, The Rock is back! Why did he just count to 3 and then cut his neck? Like, or do the neck slice thing, right? Like that's all. That is what people were talking about out of the gate. Like, yeah, there was talk about the Hell in a Cell up until The Rock came out, and that's how it should have been. Because otherwise, nobody's walking away from that show being like, that was an awesome Hell in a Cell. They're like, could you believe they brought The Rock back at the beginning of the show?
Yeah.
So I like, and here's the thing. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. What it was on Friday, maybe Thursday, when I told you like Cody was on the Pat McAfee show, and he was like, he told Pat as he was walking off, because Pat's like, well, you guys going last. He goes, because the big guy's coming back. And then Cody posted that on his own Instagram story, which is where I saw it. And it was like, oh, well, yeah, of course they're going to go last. The Rock is going to come out. And like the fact that they saved The Rock till the end and he didn't say a word, just like when they brought Roman back the first time, he didn't say a word. He just came down and he laid to paraphrase
everyone
the
in
crock, he laid it the smacketh downeth on their jabroni asses. And it was great. It's what it should have been. But anyway, all right. Yeah. So like, it was a fine pay-per-view. It was short, so it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
All right. We're at an hour, so we're going to start talking about the Penguin now. The whole reason that we pushed the podcast back and we talked about Ubisoft for 40 minutes.
36.
Anyway,
32.
what?
Yeah, 32 minutes.
36. Yeah, 32 minutes and 38 seconds.
38 seconds.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Episode 3, Bliss. So Darryl, out of 5 blissfully bent Maserati frames, what do you give this one?
4.75.
Nice. So you were a 4.25 last time.
This was this was the first one I was able to actually watch a second time. Watched it early this morning when I got up, and man, this is such a like from the start I've liked Vic.
Oh
And
yeah.
well, before I start, what do you get? What do you give it?
I gave it a 2. I'm kidding.
2 plus 2.65.
I gave it a 4.65, which the last episode I gave a 4.51. And on the pilot, you were at 4.5 and I was at 4.67. So I like this almost as much as I like the pilot. You like this more than the pilot. I will say this is the best episode of the series so far, and there's 5 to go.
It's yeah. And just going back to this from the beginning, and one of the things that hooked me, I mean, not just the acting and everything, but but it's the connection and the chemistry between Vic and Oz from that first episode when he catches him stealing his car or trying to steal his car. And that really plays into effect in this episode. But this is a Vic-centric episode.
Well, here's the funny thing about Vic real quick is they gave him Jason Todd's backstory. Kind of.
Oh, they did?
Well, because Jason Todd, like Batman found him trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile. And so he was an orphan, and here's another orphan now who was trying to steal the Penguin's car, and now is the Penguin's little sidekick.
Yeah. And you kind of knew just by how he talks to him, how they relate to one another, that Oz really likes him.
Oh God,
but
yeah.
You really get that here, where
it's why Oz was so hurt when he thought that Vic wanted to leave.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, when he's at the bar and he's just drinking, after he has that conversation with Vic, who, again, like I said, this is an origin story, or pretty much an origin story from Vic, because we actually get to see someone who was affected by the end of the Batman movie when the Riddler did what he did, and Vic watches as his that's the thing,
from across the street he sees the wave come through. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was awful. And it, again, what do they say? One life is a tragedy. 1,000 people dying. Well, one person dying is a tragedy. 1,000 people dying is a statistic. This shows that, because thousands of people died, but when it humanizes one person's pain of seeing his entire family, it hits you even harder.
Oh yeah,
because it's, again, you can't think on that level when you think of hundreds or thousands of people. You think of them, yes, they're human and they're individuals and lives are affected, but when you can see someone like Vic seeing that and being helpless about it, it just puts brings it home even better, and even stronger.
Oh yeah. I loved when he was talking to him about his salary. He's like, "Oh, what? We'll start you out at 1." And he's like, 1,000? He's like, "Yeah." And then he hands him this cash of money, or stack of money. He goes, "You got to ask for what you want." And he goes, "Can I have 2,000?" And he goes, "No."
That's actually a pretty good penguin right there.
I've been practicing. I've literally been practicing. Colin Farrell is so good at this. It cannot be overstated enough. How good the 3 main actors were, what I consider the 3 main actors of Penguin, Vic, and Sophia. Like, the 3 of them, and the chemistry that the 3 of them have together. Because when Sophia was in the room with Vic and Vic was alone with her, and then she's like, "Yeah, he's not coming," and he's like, "All right, kid, you stand by." It was like, yes. Like, that's exactly how Vic would act in front of her, because he called her the Hangman. He's like, "You want me to?" She's the Hangman. And the look that Penguin gave him, like, so. I will say this was the first episode, though, that I noticed the makeup. when he was
I don't
in,
know if
it was when he was in like the white t-shirt with the black jacket, and it was kind of like form fitting. Like he's still big, but you just noticed the neck. The neck really stood out there in that scene, and it was in that scene that I'm talking about with Vic and Sophia when you know Oz was in the other room, wheeling and dealing, but yeah, in like this is like the show is like Shrek, right? Like not the movie Shrek, the character Shrek. There's so many layers to this show, and they peel something new back every week. Like we learned that Oz actually kind of sold Sophia out, maybe after he was Sophia's driver, and like they were legit friends.
Yeah, and you can see the hurt in her, even though you know she is like that tension wire where you think she's going to explode at any time.
She's definitely
but you can
gonna
see the
explode.
hurt on in
Oh
her.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I think Johnny Beatty, she's absolutely going to kill him.
Oh.
Especially just the way he talks to her,
Mm-hmm.
like sweetie, and like it's so condescending.
Was it what was his name on Lost? Doctor what? He was the doctor in the videos on Lost. Johnny Beatty was.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, but yeah. Yeah, like here's the thing, I ran like this through ChatGPT, and I was like, hey, just tell me about the themes of the episode, right? And I think it did a really good job. The themes that according to not a sponsored ChatGPT, the themes for this episode were power and corruption, identity and transformation, family and loyalty, survival in a ruthless world, and ambition and consequences. And I really think
pretty good, I think.
It did a really good job. And the ambition and consequences is the one that I kind of focused in on, because Sophia has ambitions. And she keeps facing the consequences of her past as the Hangman. And Oz has ambitions, and he keeps facing the consequences for overestimating himself and what he's capable of. And then Vic has consequences and then ambition.
Mm-hmm.
So Vic finds his ambition at the end of this episode when he makes the U-turn. That is Vic finding his ambition. And the consequence for Vic is all along like, am I going to adopt this life and this opportunity that have been given to me? Am I going to adopt it, or am I going to run? And
that's a great evaluation of it, because before that moment you're talking about, he had convinced himself that this was something that was out of his control.
Right.
Even when he talks to Gabriella, he tells her, he's like, I don't know if he would let me.
Right.
You know, I don't know, because I've seen things. He's a gangster. I don't know. But when Vic confronts him in the bathroom and says, dude, this is what it's like to be held under the gun, basically, and he literally shows what it's like. And he said, yeah, no, this is on you. You're, I'm not holding you captive.
And that was great. He's like, you think I'm holding you captive? Am I keeping you here? Do you think you can't just go? Am I going to kill you? It was heartbreaking, because that was a consequence for Vic, like almost ruining this like very dynamic duo relationship that he's building with Oz. I mean, seriously, like he is the Robin to Oz's Batman in this story.
Yes, he
like
he
if
absolutely
they
is.
could do a Batman and Robin movie with this level of just believability of the two characters' relationship, we will be in very good shape.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Right? Like, we could be in really good shape. The other one that really stuck out was the family and loyalty, right? Because Vic has lost his family, and he gets Gabriella back. And he's torn between the loyalty of his old life and the loyalty of the opportunity that he has before him. And this is where he fights his ambition, and he doesn't want to be this guy who's going to turn into, you know, a killer, a henchman, a partner, a criminal, even though he kind of already is. And at the end of the day, he's so loyal to Oz that he can't leave. And it was his choice, right? Like you said. And then the other thing is in a way, Oz is loyal to Sophia, but we're going to learn more about that relationship over the next 5 episodes. That's going to show that they're family. Like, in like, not like family as in like the family, but family as in like family. Like, you reached for the chicken first, you have to say grace.
Yeah, and it starts next week.
Yeah.
Where we get the back. It's going to be a Sophia-centric episode based on the trailer. We get to see what happened between her and Oz and how he sold her out. I'm so excited about this, and
I can't wait. I mean, it's Wednesday, it's Tuesday. It's going to be Wednesday in a couple hours, and that means we're one day closer to seeing the next episode.
Yeah. And also, again, there's been very few movie or shows that I've been as excited, for the next week. I mean, we had Shogun. I was like that with Shogun. Masters of the Air was just fantastic as well earlier in the year. But as far, even with those, I don't know if I've seen somebody, like, I don't know the last actor where I've watched them perform. And A, I'm so drawn into the performance. And B, I keep thinking, how much fun are they having right now?
Right.
And every time I watch him, Colin Farrell as Oz Cobb, I think that, like, dude is having so much fun, and he is spectacular.
Yeah.
He is.
You know what we need to do is we need to get access to the screeners from Max.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So one, so we can watch them, and 2, we can record on Sundays. We like to do. But anyway, no, you're 100% right. Yeah, I just like this show. This show has been really, really, like really consistent. One, the direction of Craig Zobel is why it's been so consistent, I think, with the look and feel and in the pacing. But I want to give Lauren LaFranc some credit here, like a lot of credit here as the showrunner. There were a lot of people out there who are like, these people hate, this IP. Matt Reeves is embarrassed to work on it. And like, Matt Reeves might be embarrassed to work on it because, let's be frank, he sucks. But like, this has been really, really an interesting, like, it's been a really interesting look, because it's not a deconstruction of the Penguin's character, right? They're not deconstructing who he is. They're building him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're not deconstructing the superhero story, and they're not deconstructing like the myth of the villain. They're building it. And it's all, and they even say it in the little documentaries at the end of each episode. Like, the story comes first with these people. And, even though Matt Reeves is somewhat involved, and they interviewed him, and dude, he looks super creepy in the ill-fitting suit and the mustache, just heads up. I'm just so excited for this. And it's been so rare that I've been excited for a new show like this. Like, I think I told you, I may not have told you, I decided I'm going to rewatch Falling Skies.
Yeah.
And so I just finished season 2, and like, this is the only thing that has gotten me to stop my rewatch of Falling Skies, because it's so, I just look forward to it so much.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I really, and again, I don't see any reason it shouldn't stay just as tight with everything as we go forward. So again, every Sunday night, I usually don't watch until first thing Monday morning, right? Like it's 7 a.m. or something like that. But I'm always, I even said this in a team meeting at work. It's like, when we were done with talking about work stuff, I said, so the Penguin is excellent.
Right.
You all should watch it.
Nice. I mean, she wrote 13 episodes of Chuck.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Okay, so what am I looking at here? So developed by, written by creator Penguin. She did a show called Impulse. She did 6 episodes. Teleplay by, written by, executive producer. Written by 7 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She did a teleplay of Hemlock Grove. She is written by executive story editor or teleplay for 13 episodes of Chuck. Oh, she did My Own Worst Enemy, that Christian Slater show. She did 2 episodes. So yeah, I mean, she's worked on some cool stuff. And I mean, she's got, this is like the opposite of what like Marvel does. She's got some credits under her belt, right?
Yeah.
She's worked on some high profile stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. Impulse was the sequel book to Jumper. It was a different character they used, but yeah.
And it's a show.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
It's a
I think I
YouTube
only watched
original?
one. Yes. Yep.
Oh, I'm definitely going to check this out now. 20 episodes. Oh, I hope they're only like 5 minutes each. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, she's involved in Chuck. Like, she did Chuck versus the Tic Tac, Chuck versus the Honeymooners, Chuck versus the Living Dead, Chuck versus the Suitcase, The First Fight, The Push Mix, The Masquerade. Oh, The Wedding Planner. That's a good one. I like that one. And then she did Chuck versus Sarah. She did the series finale. Very cool. Directed by Jay Chandrasekhar. Do you know who he is?
No.
Did you ever watch Super Troopers or Beer Fest?
No, but I know the movie.
He's in those.
I did watch Super Troopers.
He's one of the what are they called? The Broken Lizard, whatever. What are they? It's the. Oh yeah, that's right. The Broken Lizards. So yeah. So that I just think like listening to her talk in the the post match interviews, if you will, it just has me excited. Like, the only thing I would change about any of the presentation of this is in the post show documentary is Colin Farrell needs to be in the Penguin makeup. Like, it's just so jarring to see him like all happy and smiley and out of the suit. And it's like, no, you put him back in it. He's Daniel Day-Lewis. He is the Penguin now. But yeah.
He absolutely is.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched this yet, definitely check it out. It's amazing. Anything else you want to say on it before we close out?
Not on Penguin, but just a reminder, if you all want to know more about this whole Ubisoft thing and Ghost of Yotei, just look up Endymion TV, Critical Drinker, and Legendary Drops. They're all YouTubers and do a fabulous job covering it a little better and more succinct, and will also bringing in more stuff than we did, because especially with the Ghost of Yotei. So if you want to know more about that, Endymion, like I said, Critical Drinker, and Legendary Drops.
Yeah, and there's a link drop on the show notes for all this stuff too, for the Ubisoft stuff. So yeah, all right. On that note, thank you all for listening. We love you. We'll see you later. We'll be back next Tuesday, not Wednesday. Again, appreciate the patience. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. Go subscribe on Spotify, please. And just enjoy listening to the show. Share it with your friends. You may or may not have noticed, but we've been a little more active on social media lately. So that's a fun thing that I've been getting back into. Darryl needs to share those clips that I post.
Yeah.
Anyway. Last week it was both like majority you talking in the clips, so that was for all the peoples out there. just for them. Anyway, on that note, thank you for listening. Watch The Penguin, skip Bad Blood, read the Ubisoft stuff, go play video games that you like. Better yet, just go outside while the weather is beautiful, and we will see you next week. Bye.
There you go.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Infamous Podcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.